What if you're shrunk down to the size of an ant? Again, only this time you're not just surviving in a backyard, you're in a park, taming insects, riding spiders, and exploring a massive world. Grounded 2 builds on everything the original did well. More tools, smarter enemies, and a wider world, now powered by Unreal Engine 5. While visually amazing, performance is lackluster, and crashes are common in its early access state, but there's still a lot to enjoy here. So, with that being said, hope you enjoy my thoughts on an early access review for Grounded 2. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, I just want to mention I'm not going to mention anything regarding story as I don't want to spoil anyone. Just know there is a lot more story to play through in this early access version compared to Grounded 1, and it is very fun to go through and very cool. So people who like going through the story in games like this will, I think, be satisfied. This is purely just gameplay and just performance and all that other stuff, and my overall thoughts on the game as it stands right now in its early access state. And with that, hope you enjoy the rest of the review. Grounded 2 leaves behind the familiar backyard and transports players into Brook Hollow Park, a massive and new dynamic setting filled with danger, mystery, and biodiversity. The map is about 3 times larger than the original games, and the environments are far more impressive. My 2 favorite areas right now is the frozen wasteland, which is just a toppled over ice cream truck, and a radioactive trash area crawling with a bunch of cockroaches. This move to expand the map isn't just about size, it adds versatility and unique traversal puzzles, and a constant sense of discovery, and with the 4 original teams making a return, the story maintains its continuity while also expanding its storytelling scope. Characters are familiar, but the world they're navigating is anything but. One of the smartest changes in Grounded 2 is the new Omni tool, a single multi-tool-like item that replaces the multiple tools you had to craft in the first game, thus saving you a bunch of inventory space and gives you also more space for weapons in your hotbar. It handles chopping, digging, hammering, and more. This means less micromanaging and more freedom to explore. It's unlocked and improved through raw science and various materials, giving players a clear progression path. But you could also argue that the Omnit tool does remove some survival aspects from the game, but I personally find it to be a welcome change in addition to the game. In addition, the buggy system also shakes things up in the best possible way. You can now tame and ride 2 types of bugs currently in early access, the orb weaver and the soldier ant. Use them for mounted travel, resource hauling, or even combat support. And I'm sure down the road, each buggy will bring its own unique gameplay to the mix. Each buggy has its own inventory slot, making it a game changer for solo players and explorers alike, as you'll be able to haul more stuff and collect more items on your expeditions. It makes exploration far more fun as you're out more rather than just going back and forth whenever your inventory gets full. And just overall, the buggies are a very welcome addition to this game, and I can't wait to see what they add later in the future. Combat sees a significant improvement this time around. Enemy AI is noticeably smarter, often ambushing you if you're not paying attention, even retreating when they're close to death. And the new dodge mechanic in combat is a much welcome addition to the game, as it adds a lot more skill expression to the combat, which I really do enjoy. I feel like builds and classes are a lot more defined in this game when compared to Grounded 1, when it comes to new weapons and armor, and the addition of dual claws brings an added speed and agility to fights. The crafting system is about the same. You go out and get these materials and you bring them back to the science stations, and you just scan them to unlock new blueprints and parts, which increases your brain power, thus gives you more stuff to craft. But one little thing that I did notice is that there's now an extra charge in the science stations. Before it was 3, now it's 4, which is very cool. New enemy types like the scorpion, cockroaches, and butterflies, and caterpillars each drop unique materials used for new gear and armor sets. And some of the old bugs have new items for you to also craft, which adds a variety of new types of classes you can play as, and flushes out a few of the existing ones that were in the previous game. All these changes and additions, I think, really expand the RPG-like style of the game. From the mutations to the more detailed builds and stuff you can make. It's honestly a welcome improvement, and I can't wait to see what they do more of. Hopefully add more weapon types, more armors, just the whole thing. When it comes to the bad kind of bugs in the game, do expect them, as this is an early access game after all. Some bugs I encountered were purely visual, like flashing items, like flashing mushrooms, stuff like that. Bugs getting stuck in geometry, and the occasional crash and performance, which I'll talk about later, as well as the way they should. Little systems here and there not working. One example I can give is the buggy in the nest, as sometimes I would, say for example, die or log off while on my buggy, and my buggy would just despawn, so then I'd have to go find and hatch a new one. Another bug I encountered that was a little frustrating was that whenever I died, my backpack would get sent outside of the map thus impossible to obtain. It's especially frustrating when you go out and get a bunch of rare loot and then you end up dying and lose all of it. But one funny bug, but also kind of terrifying that I encountered was flying spiders, which is pretty funny, but also very terrifying. But I digress. When it comes to the game's performance, the game runs on Unreal Engine 5, and Grounded 2 is a massive visual upgrade. Lighting, particle effects, texture detail, the whole package is just jaw-droppingly gorgeous, which is to be expected for Unreal Engine 5. But all that fidelity comes at a cost. And while I know this game isn't early access, I still feel like these performance issues should be addressed and talked about, and I hope all these performance issues will be gradually improved upon as development continues in early access and up to full release. While most players have reported a fairly stable experience, mainly on console, others on PC have noticed occasional frame dips, especially in the more dense areas of the map and when a lot of stuff's going on screen, especially during combat, constant crashes during extended sessions, and minor stuttering during combat or when loading new areas. For me personally, running 4K resolution on a 4080 graphics card, I had to run the game at low settings and lowered the render resolution, plus a few engine and INI tweaks just to get the game to run at a decentable frame rate, and I will link the guide I used for these performance enhancements in the description below, so make sure to check it out if you're having performance issues like me. I do think the game has some sort of memory issue problem, as the longer I play the game, the worse it runs. Like when I launch the game, it's usually at a very solid 80 FPS, but after about an hour and a half, my frames are around the 20 to 30 mark, so I have to constantly restart the game and reload it, relaunch it, that sort of thing. And while performance issues aren't game-breaking, they are noticeable, and if you're running a mid-tier PC or playing on console, expect some hiccups. Hopefully further updates and patches will smooth out these performance issues and hiccups during its remainder in early access. And with all that being said, Grounded 2 doesn't reinvent the survival genre. It really doesn't have to, if I'm being honest. But what it does do, it builds confidently on its foundation it had in Grounded 1. It adds some genuinely new fun mechanics like the buggies. It delivers a weirder and wilder world that's a joy to get lost in and fun to explore, solo or with friends. Also has room to grow in terms of content, story, and performance. What's here is already very compelling and addictive, and fun for what the early access build contains. You'll be looking at around 30 hours of content to go through. If you enjoyed the first game or love co-op survival games with exploration, crafting, and world building, with future updates already planned, and a roadmap you can go look at, there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to Grounded 2. And when this gem of a game is complete, issues are ironed out, I can see Grounded 2 being one of the most standout survival games this generation. And with that being said, hope you enjoyed my review on Grounded 2. See you guys next time. Like and subscribe if you made it this far. See you guys next time. Peace out.